We are very excited today here at Hellow Media. We have the crew from Channel 7's Travel Oz show visiting us to talk about our program. We have lots of questions too.
What does a journalist do?
It's an interesting, good question, right? Because what journalists should do is discover the truth and research stories and do these incredible jobs. But a lot of times now what we do is just tell stories, right? And share stories of what's going on in the community or in the news and get out there and get that information to people as fast as we can.
What story do you enjoy?
Yeah, I think the stories that I enjoy covering the most are ones that involve travel, because I get to go to these incredible places and discover them. But for me, the most important thing is stories with human connection, right? Which is important to me, that you can communicate and talk to other people and get to share their story. So even though I do this show, I'm not the star of the show. The people that I go and visit are the stars of the show. And that's what's most important to me. And that's what I love filming the most.
How do you get up, David?
I haven't interviewed anyone really, really famous. But what I would say is, once upon a time, I was at Crown Towers walking through the hotel, and we were actually trying to find Ed Sheeran to give him a bottle of whiskey that I got from my room from the Vinnie Bar, because he had a concert and I want to say well done, good job. So I was going up and down in the lifts, and I was with some friends, were walking around, and then we met this guy and he goes, "What are you guys doing?" And I was like, "We're trying to find Ed Sheeran to say well done, here's a bottle of whiskey." He goes, "I'm Ed's cousin, Ed's here." I said I knew he was there, but he was like, "You guys can come back to the room, I'll call you, give me my number." And I thought, this guy is like full of it, there's no way. Go back to the room, put my pajamas on, I was with a few friends, put our robes on, sitting there, and then this phone started ringing, and he's like, "Ed said, yeah, it's fine, come to the room." So I was with Ed Sheeran until 3 a.m. in the morning, having fun, having a few drinks, I'm not gonna lie, but he was just the most beautiful, wonderful person. So a good first person to really get to meet. Do you want me to tell you another funny story quickly? So I met Keanu Reeves once, and Keanu Reeves is my number one. Like, I'd leave my husband for Keanu Reeves any day of the week, let me tell you. But I couldn't speak. I was so like starstruck, I couldn't say one word. Ed Sheeran, no problem. Keanu Reeves, I couldn't speak.
Please explain what your role is as a researcher on Travel Oz.
So researching is really important. So firstly, we get to obviously speak to the business or group that we're featuring on that episode. If it's a destination, we really look at, one, is it safe to travel to? Is it somewhere that people want to go to? So we really research and look into that. And then we go to other sources, like, so the internet's really good for helping with that. But we also have like a support team that help with production, that go off and research different places, and then people that really highlight the places to go. So when I'm going somewhere, I really start to read up a lot of information, start to talk to people, and then from there you build the story.
The countries that you've tried to travel to, and obviously your team is obviously, there's probably been a bit of a vote or a bit of a poll, yes or no, or probably or neutral.
Yep.
What has been some of those situations been like? What countries you've suggested to the team? They're going, yes, no, or we'll get back to you?
It's a really good question, actually, because right now there's been a lot of movement on travel, especially, say, to the US. So the US has seen tourism drop off by at least 25% in the last month alone, and a lot more people are going towards Europe, Asia, even the Pacific Islands. That's for Australian travellers. So it's a good question, because we have seen there's been a real change. So a lot more of our focus is going into other destinations at the minute, because it seems like there's not so many people going through.
What's the biggest challenge you have experienced in your career?
I suppose the biggest challenges I've been able to stay on top of, because you have to be ever evolving, right? Because I work in travel, there's different places that need, a lot more attention than others. So you've got to stay really relevant in terms of the news space and what people want to see. But I suppose the biggest challenges in terms of Travel Oz is that there are so many stories we want to tell, and being able to tell all of them in one season is really difficult. But it's just moving parts, right? Because you organise one interview, then you might want to showcase another area. So you've just got to like manage and manoeuvre all the people. But I think the most challenging thing of all of that is actually getting back into TV and theatre after a break. So I took a good break, had my kids, did all that, and then actually came back. So that was a big enough challenge, having already a successful career in travel and then moving that back into TV. So that was probably the biggest.
What are the reward aspects of your job?
Well, for me, I'm quite an emotional, caring, like lovey person. For me, it's the people. I like going and seeing incredible destinations, and it is rewarding when you get like a nice hotel or some great breakfast. But for me, it's about getting to meet and learn about other people. Do you know what I mean? I find stories fascinating, and I think the older you get, what you find is that those stories are much more important because it actually forms the basis of what we grow into or the community that we're a part of.
Where do you see yourself in the future for journalism?
I think it's ever changing, right? And one of the things about journalism now, a lot of things are online. So a lot of the way we communicate that messaging is going through to like social media, YouTube. A lot of stuff actually comes off TV, right? And then a lot of it's going back online. So I think that's going to continue to be the future. The scariest part of the future, though, that we've all got to start to look out for is, I don't like to say the words fake news, but is journalism with integrity. That's the future. I think that we're going to come back to this point where there's so much fake information or so much information out there that's not right, that we're going to come back to what journalists should do.
What are your strengths and weaknesses?
I'm very loving and I'm very kind. I would say my weaknesses are I am super impatient when things aren't going my way, and I can get really cranky sometimes when things just don't go in order. I like things in order. That's really important to me. But I also think that your weaknesses are your strengths, right? So that's kind of like what makes us human and different from everyone else.
What do you enjoy about the journalism?
Sharing your story, like telling stories about people and destinations, and being able to take people out of their living room into a completely different place, and for at least 30 minutes every week you get to think about something else.
Have you travelled somewhere without doing your journalism?
Absolutely. Like Hawaii is my favourite place in the whole world. I go like 3 times a year. It's my version of Phillip Island. I love Hawaii. I travel to Greece. I do Greek islands with my family. I try to really separate family travel from work travel, and the family travel is the best, right? Because you get to do all the things that you talk about on air. So yeah, I love that.
Where do you think is your next holiday?
My next holiday is Hawaii. I'm already booked in for June, but I am filming in the Gold Coast and New South Wales, and then Sarah Marie and I are going to head off and do an England special, which we're excited about, and that's coming up this year too.
Irene, what's your morning routine look like?
My morning routine is once I get up in the morning, I go straight to brush my teeth. Then I get changed. Of course, I'm not wearing my pajamas, but I take my dog for a walk, Hamilton, every morning before I touch a laptop, do any other work, and then I get into the day. I just catch up with all my emails and I get into work. I've got a company called Travel Globe as well as doing my work on Travel Oz. So it's always a very full-on day, and then I get back to people usually the next day.
Irene, can you tell me about a story that you've been working on and that you've gone, oh, I really love my job?
Well, today comes pretty close. Like, I really love being here, and it also hits, I suppose, a personal kind of thing for me too, because my son has disabilities. He's got cerebral palsy, autism, he's non-verbal, he wears navvies, he's in a wheelchair, he's like 27 years old. So for me, days like today make my job so worth it, and being able to show, I suppose, the Australian community, right, that travel is actually more than just going to places. It's about the feeling and the community and the things that you get to experience when you do that. And that's, you know, that's the best part of the job.
With regards to your family, you mentioned your son there. How do you balance that? Because obviously you're traveling a lot, you've got 2 jobs, as you earlier mentioned. How do you balance the travel and family life?
My kids and my family come first. So I will say no to a job if the kids have got any events on, if they've got something that I deem as like important to them. But I think it's about when I'm with my family and home, be present for them. And then when you are out and you're doing other things, or when I'm traveling, a lot of times if I can, I'll bring them along. And if I can't, like I can't. But most of the time I try to manage it like that. And one of the reasons I own my own company, right, is I'm the boss. I don't have to work every day. Or I do have to work double hard, but I get to choose the hours. So, you know, like I will work all day, but then I will spend dinner and family time with the kids and stuff. But they're getting older too, right? Teenage boys like going out and doing stuff as well, so it makes it a bit easier. But you just have to make it work. And I think women, sometimes we're superheroes.
Favourite hotel?
Favourite hotel? Oh, good question. In Australia, this is hard, right? Because all hands down.
All hands down.
I think my favourite hotel is the Plaza in New York City. It's right near Central Park. They have a champagne bar, and then underneath in the escalator, there's an entire food hall, and you go there and you pick out like your, you know, cheeses and wines and all this, and then you go into Central Park, and then you sit out there and actually eat it. But the hotel itself is outstanding. Best hotel.
Yum.
Well, I think it's safe to say that today was truly one of the best days so far at Hellow Media. Thank you to Irene and Vincent. We have learnt so much.